Fallout over forged signatures on petitions to get independent Shaun Brown on the ballot for Congress is taking yet another turn. Campaign workers of 2nd District incumbent Scott Taylor helped collect some of those signatures. Now a special prosecutor is investigating. But it's the reason why Taylor says he stepped in to help Brown that has some African-American voters angry.
Scott Taylor's doing one thing. Scott Taylor's trying to get Scott Taylor elected. Let's be perfectly clear about that. This is all about vote split.
Dr. James Allen isn't buying the reason why Republican 2nd District incumbent Scott Taylor says his campaign workers collected ballot petition signatures for independent Shaun Brown.
This is Scott Taylor taking a page out of the toxic Trump cult of winning at all costs.
In one of Taylor's statements, he says national Democrats are engaged in a systematic effort to disenfranchise 2nd District voters by marginalizing a qualified African-American candidate. He also says some people volunteered to fix this injustice. What is he referring to? Well, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee endorsed Elaine Luria before voters cast ballots in the primary. Luria was one of 6 Democrats running, and she won the nomination. Brown dropped her bid as a Democrat and later decided to run as an independent while facing federal fraud charges. Allen, the president of the Virginia Beach Interdenominational Ministers Conference and 2nd District voter, feels Taylor's move to help Brown was self-serving and an insult to black voters.
This is nothing more than a political ploy by Scott Taylor and the Republicans who support him. And it's a shame that Shaun Brown is allowing herself to be used as a pawn in this situation.
And I've never sold anybody out, and I've never been a pawn.
And Brown says she's running to fight for the people, but she concedes she is unsure of Taylor's motives.
I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but that's hard for me to understand.
To disenfranchise voters. That was his goal.
2nd District Hampton voter Gayleen Knoyton agrees with Allen.
It would be to his advantage to divide the vote, and so that he can win the election.
Well, what does Scott Taylor have to say about these concerns? Well, right now, nothing. I talked to his spokesperson, and he tells me they have nothing to add to the record on this issue. Brown adds that her campaign has done everything right, and she had no idea signatures were being collected on her behalf, and she looks forward to what the special prosecutor finds.